When Kathy went to the University of Madrid, I got stationed in Oberursel, Germany, with what is known as the 513th Military Intelligence Group. I was a security officer. I took care of personnel security, document security, physical security. We were a closed post. And that was before the wall fell, so we had Russian, East German, Bulgarian people who would try to take pictures of our organization. I had 18 military policemen who I reported to me, plus I was in charge of all of the top secret documents and security clearance. This is a good job. I was called the S2. Kathy was at the University of Madrid, and it was Oberursel. It was a place called Camp King, which used to be a prisoner of war camp in the Second World War. So it was really a nice place to be. There was a book out at that time called Europe on $5 a Day. You could travel in Europe. I remember being in Italy where we stayed in a hotel for $2 a night. Those are the good old days. Those days are gone. But we were stationed there. And then Kathy, we were married in 1968 in Harrisburg, and we came back. She came back with me then from Spain. Then that was over, and we were in Oberursel for a few months. I had been there alone for a while at Camp King. She was there with me for 3 months. Then our organization was transferred to Munich. Somebody has to suffer. And so we were in Munich joining with another group, and I was in a different job at that time. When I was S2, we were the headquarters, and we visited the subordinate units in Berlin and in Vicenza, Italy. So I was able to travel all these places at the Army's expense, and it was a great, great time. And Kathy and I used to go skiing together in the beautiful Berchtesgadens where Hitler had his eagle's nest. And when we took over in Germany, we took over all the wonderful tourist spots. The story that my kids tell is when Kathy and I were skiing, she was coming down the hill, I was going sideways. This is my version. And we collided. And to this day, she is absolutely sure it was my fault. And I am absolutely sure it was her fault. And I'm not going to give him my argument for that right now. But Andy and John will, in a group, will say, "Hey, Mom or Dad, tell them about the skiing." I think that they'd love to see us still disagree after 56 years. But we were so blessed, again, I mean, being stationed in Munich and having, the Army gives you 4 weeks of vacation, what they call leave. So we traveled all over the place, and those were really good days, Munich and Oberursel. And then moving on to England, rank was very quick in those days because people were being killed in Vietnam. So I got out as a captain, even after only 3 years in the Army. And I don't know why, but saw this advertisement for being a teacher with what they call the dependent school system. And there was an opening in RAF Lakenheath, England, which was 35 minutes from Cambridge and like an hour and a half from London. I was a dormitory counselor, and if you worked on a 7-day dorm, we had all the kids from all over England who were living in dorms at RAF Lakenheath, and I was one of 20 dorm counselors. Best job I ever had. Only worked 4 days a week and worked evening. I mean, it was wonderful. We traveled to Russia, Ireland. It was really great. Then that second year, Kathy worked as a librarian at the high school for a while. And then the second year I was a teacher there, and those were 2 years. And then we said, it's time to go home. But those times in England, we got to hear John R. Stott preach at All Souls Chapel in London, and the beautiful horses there. And that's a strange thing about England. But England was a better city in those days. That it's kind of rough there now. But to be there and to learn, to have all that free time, but it was kind of like, hey, the GI Bill is running out, we ought to get home. But that's basically, when I look back at, Kathy was in Spain that first year I was in Germany, then she joined me, and then we had like 15 months together there before we then came back and decided to go to Penn State.